What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Breaking In seminar, how to get started as an actor in TV, movies, commercials, and voiceovers. I appreciate you being here today. Um, I'm sure this comes as a mystery to a lot of people where it's just one of those businesses where you just kind of like, I don't really know how to get started. Like I see people doing it, but I don't really know how to get started. And that was definitely the case with me at one point. And I'm going to get into why I started pursuing it and the things I learned along the way. And if it's something that you're curious or interested in pursuing, then hopefully after this seminar, it's going to be far less of a mystery. We've got a lot to cover, so you can expect about a 2-hour seminar. Going to have some Q&A at the end, and that's kind of it. It's going to be super simple. If you ordered the PDF and you're following along, please do so because we're going to dive into that right now. But yeah, the purpose of the seminar is to share my experience in breaking into show business as an actor in TV, movies, commercials, voice acting, video games, reality show, motion capture. It all works pretty much the same way. It's the same process. It's the same agencies. It's not quite as diverse a process as you might think. We're going to be covering all of the following over the next couple hours. We're going to be debunking common misconceptions and common misconceptions that compel people to quit before they even start. Like it's like, well, I'm not this, I'm not that. Why should I even bother? That's garbage. Do not subscribe to that way of thinking. There's a role out there for everybody. Materials to prepare and resources to become familiar with before you begin your pursuit. Just like any job, and like it's a fun job, but just like any other job, there are things that you should have prepared ahead of time that for when you walk into an audition or walk into an agent's office that you're just like, here, check me out. Essentially, it's how you make your first impression on paper, which is equally important as your first impression in person. How to approach agencies if you choose to go that route. You don't have to. I recommend that you do, and we'll get into why. What to expect when you land an audition. Common phrases and terminology to learn before you go to an audition, so you're not just like, it's not blatantly obvious that it's like your first day or your first audition. How to handle the uncertainty after an audition, which is something that I am still working on to a certain degree. It's not easy not knowing. That's one of the reasons why this pandemic has been so awful. It's because nobody knows what's going to happen. And how to seek out bigger projects and continue building your resume to get the kind of success in show business that you want to have. As we scroll down to item number 2, who the fuck are you? Hi, everybody. I'm AJ Kirsch. You might remember me from such projects as WWE 2K19 video game when I voiced and did motion capture for Buzz. I did a voice in Mafia, the Definitive Collection video game, which came out just yesterday. The angry SUV driver in Jexy, the escaped convict, and I almost got away with it. One of the main contestants in Dating Naked, the paranoid cafe customer in that Norton online security commercial that's making the rounds. And as you will soon see when we go over performance resumes, a boatload of other projects. And I could not resist the urge to do the old Troy McClure with that introduction. And the idea wasn't to put myself, thank you, Mikey. The idea wasn't to put myself over, but the idea was to like show you the diversity in projects that I've done since I've started in this crazy ass business. I chose to include one of just about everything so far. And I personally enjoy being a jack of all trades. I take great pride in being well versed in as many different avenues of entertainment as possible because like I feel like I'm better at certain things, but I want to be good at everything. I want to be able to just slide into any spot or role or project and be able to do well. I think it would benefit you as you're young in your show business career to seek out as much work as possible and decide what you enjoy, what you don't like, what you find yourself good at. But if there is a specific type of performance that you want to seek out, like it's voiceovers for video games or, dramatic acting or reality shows, whatever it is, if that's all you're interested, then go for it. You're allowed to turn down work. And if we're gonna, I'm gonna in the actual video, I'm going to edit right here because somebody's blowing up my Facebook. Okay, they're not going to make it, and they're not going to make it. Okay, and we're back. So how and why I broke in to show business. Like many of you, I'd always fantasized about breaking in. Like I've always seen, I mean, literally name it. Name the type of entertainment. I'm just like, oh, you know what? I wonder what that would be like. That looks fun. And the thought is always intriguing, but I never really had the inclination to do it until my run on WWE Tough Enough in 2011. And the reason I decided to pursue it at that time was because the goal for the longest time was to become a WWE superstar. And because I was now on their radar, I figured now would be a good time to not just continue pursuing pro wrestling, but to show them that I can be a versatile entertainer. Because as most of us know, and as anybody who's in wrestling knows, entertainment value is number one. You don't need to wrestle your way out of your paper bag to main event WrestleMania, Ultimate Warrior. So if you're a good entertainer, and if WWE feels like they can slide you into any position, a guest spot or like a talk show or anything like that, I felt like it would make me a more valuable commodity, and it does. And I feel like that's not just for WWE. Like if you're in something that reaches a lot of people, it just kind of separates you from everybody else, for better or for worse. That's just kind of a symptom of our culture. And with the reality show, the likes of WWE Tough Enough under my belt, which was broadcast all over the world, and of course made my star shine brighter in the world of pro wrestling, I was hoping that agencies based in the San Francisco Bay Area would see some potential in me for other projects. And of course, hopefully those other projects would do well, get me more exposure, and then WWE would be like, hey, this guy's like all over the place. Maybe we should think about hiring him. Since then, that kind of what started as like a side career has actually kind of taken almost equal precedence in just what I do for a living. Wrestling has obviously treated me very well. I've had some amazing moments, and I'm glad to be with MLW right now, but like some of these other projects have treated me far better than I thought they would when I first started approaching show business. And there are some things out there that might discourage you from approaching show business. And of course, it's easier said than done, but there's something out there for everybody. There's no reason that any one of you can't end up in anything, really. First misconception I want to kind of debunk is you do not need an agent. But it helps. It does help. You're more than welcome to hunt down your own projects. And there are more than enough resources for you to do just that. We'll get to that in a little bit when we cover resources that you should investigate and prepare before you actually begin your pursuit. And a lot of projects don't use agents to cast because agents can be a fucking pain in the ass. They can be hard to work with. The other side of that is they can be hard to work with because they have their talents back, essentially. They're fighting for you, and every dollar you can earn, they're fighting for it because your money is essentially their money too. And like we'll go back to some of the pros of not having an agent. If you don't have an agent, you're not exclusive to a single agency. You can go out you can submit yourself for any project you want, regardless of which agency has it. You don't have to pay for agency add-ons, and we'll cover that in a second, but like some agencies will ask you to subscribe like 15 or 20 bucks a month to their casting website. You also don't have to worry about paying your agent a commission. My agent charges me 20% of my rate, which, it's a decent chunk. I think it's worth it, but if you feel like you can go out and score projects on your own, then that's an extra 20%, sometimes 15, sometimes 10, but it's more money in your pocket. And you choose your work. You choose the specific projects that you want to work on and submit yourself for, rather than your agency submitting for you. If you say no to your agency enough, they might consider dropping you because again, they want to build a roster with people who want to work, who want to earn money. And so if you keep turning things down, then they might have to like, have a talk with you and just be like, okay, well, you're turning down more work than is worth our trouble to submit you on projects. The cons of not having an agent is that nobody really has your back. You're just out there doing the best you can by yourself. You don't have people with years of industry experience hunting down jobs for you. And like I said earlier, fighting for every dollar that you make, because your money is their money. The more money you make, the more money they make. And even though it is a pain dealing with agents, most high profile projects go through agencies, just because they want to know that the people they're hiring are professionals, like professional enough to the point that an agency sees enough in them to want to represent them and want to send them out on projects. So if you're looking for like, those higher profile gigs, chances are they're going to go through an agency. Another misconception: you don't need to be whatever you think good looking means. Agencies and projects need looks of all sizes, all styles, shapes, colors, faces, and attitudes, including yours. I'm pretty sure there's a casting director out there that is looking for your look, like right now. If every ad or movie or TV show or commercial only hired Brad Pitt, everybody would look like Brad Pitt. It would be freaking boring. So if you think you're not like a desirable look, they're looking for literally every look. They're looking for everything. So don't let whatever idea you have about how you look keep you from pursuing this if it's something you want to pursue. Some of the world's most recognized and often rejected actors look like anything but the typical like good looking actor type. Can you imagine how many times Danny DeVito, that little troll, had to hear no before he actually like got a shot and got a gig that actually took off? Like, Willem Dafoe is ugly as fuck, but look at him. Everybody knows who he is. So like there's something out there for everybody. Another misconception: you don't need to be in LA. And I'm tempted to say that kind of like you don't need an agent, it helps. Maybe it doesn't help, because I mean, I've made a pretty good career out of not being in LA, and a lot more work is actually shooting in the San Francisco Bay Area because I think the county of San Francisco is offering tax breaks for production companies to come up here and shoot. So they have incentive to come up here and do that. It can be challenging though, because LA is Tinseltown. It's Hollywood. It's still where most of the work is. But at the same time, because that's where most of the work is, that's where most of the workers are. That, almost everybody in LA is like trying to make it as an actor, or some type of performance entertainment. So like, if you're going to pursue acting, think about the size of the pond before you jump in. San Francisco Bay Area, much smaller pond, but that means there's also way less work. So it's, plan accordingly. And if you're in a more remote area and you don't want to move, then one possible scenario is that you might have to wait for work to come to you. Like if there's a production that's shooting in, I don't know, Truckee or something, or maybe Arizona, like someplace where there isn't just generally a whole lot of production happening. It's still worth it to be in touch with your local talent agencies, so that if they hear of a shoot happening in the area, then they can hire you and just be like, hey, if you fit the specs of a specific role, then they can send you out to audition. One more misconception I want to cover is that you don't need formal acting experience or training. I've never taken an acting class in my life. My prior experience was pro wrestling before I got into any type of any type of like typical shoot with like, a commercial or movie or anything else. And I'm super grateful for that experience because, when you're when you're convincing people that you're in pain, especially live, and they have to be able to feel that, it's not necessarily a hard transition to do that in front of a camera. But that's just been my experience. It might be different for you, Stephen, or you, Mikey, if you do decide to make that transition. But it does help having prior performance experience. Danny, for example, I know, you're a musician. You've done shows before. You've been in front of a crowd. Like that's performance experience. And that's something that you can include when you're preparing your materials and resources, which is what we're going to cover next. And you want to have these resources like locked and loaded way ahead of time. Like, again, if this is something you want to pursue, I would suggest putting these items on your to-do list, and do it sooner rather than later, because if you can come out of this pandemic, and by the way, work has not stopped during the pandemic. There's still things happening, but to have these prepared ahead of time is going to put you a step ahead of everyone else who's just like, oh, I wonder how I get started in that. So whether you decide to approach yourself to an agency or not, it would benefit you immensely to have the following materials available to go, like at a moment's notice. You want to have a cover letter. It's not required, but I recommend it because, again, you should treat this like it's a job. Again, super fun job. You're playing pretend. It's great, but still a job. I don't think a lot of agencies expect cover letters to accompany submissions, like if you're shopping yourself around to an agency. But I think it's something that'll make you stand out. And it's really not that much different from the cover letter for any other job. You have a chance to establish your voice, introduce yourself. You have a chance to like specify if you're seeking specific work, whether it's movies or TV, voiceovers, etc., video games, all that stuff. And also it helps to let them know you can string a sentence together. There is a stereotype about actors that they're just kind of like airheads or just aloof or just not super sharp people. Let them know that you can string a sentence together. It will immediately set you apart from, I'm sure, a lot of other submissions that they get. And we're going to cover your headshot too here in a second, but your cover letter is your first chance to establish your voice. So again, first impressions go an extremely long way. As far as performance experience, you're going to mention that in your resume, but I want you to omit anything. Calm down, computer. I want you to omit anything that came before high school. I don't know that you would list that you played Little League if you're looking for a job in the MLB. You know what I mean? So if you were if you were in drama in high school, definitely list that. But don't list the fucking, you were in the play for Charlotte's Web in 3rd grade or whatever. That doesn't count. And at the end, thank them for their consideration. This is a job. You are trying to demonstrate to them that they should work with you, that you are a potentially profitable client. So yeah, just like you would any other job, thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Something like that to just end it on a good note, end it on a professional note. I am not going to send you an example of the cover letter, because if people don't adjust it enough, then some agencies could get more or less the same cover letter a number of times, and I don't want that to happen. I will send you my performance resume so you can see exactly what that looks like. And I could have sworn there was a feature on Zoom that you could share a document in the chat, but I guess not. I'm going to try it again just in case. Let's see. No, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. God damn it. Okay, well, noted. But your performance resume also looks a lot like a regular resume. What you're going to do is you're going to separate your performance experience by genre of media. So it's like you're going to have your TV, your commercials, live performance, hosting, things like that. Your most prominent projects are going to be at the top, just like, your, well, I guess in a work resume, you'd probably list chronologically and not necessarily most prominent projects at the top. So I guess that's an instance where they're a little bit different. And then from left to right, you're going to have 3 different columns. You're going to have your project, your role, and then either the production company or the producer director, just so that they can see that if they want to look it up, they can actually look up that it happened. There's also going to be a place for you to list your special skills. And sometimes those skills are like not even that special. Like freestyle dancing is one of them, which means if you're just okay with dancing just like you would in a club, it doesn't need to be anything special. You can do that. Swimming is listed, biking is listed, jogging is listed. Like some of these special skills are pretty normal day-to-day activities, but then you can get into things like drumming or pro wrestling or stunts, things like that. And again, for the couple of pro wrestlers that are watching this right now, you can probably put hand-to-hand combat as a special skill. You can probably list, I don't know if you could go as far as listing fight choreography. You probably could. I don't know. You could probably list fight choreography. So it's like you've got some special skills that if there are skills that set you apart, things that you can do that most other people can't, definitely put that down. And again, I will send everybody my resume so you can see exactly what that looks like. And you're more than welcome to completely steal that format, because that's just like filling in the blanks of projects you've been a part of, your special skills, etc. It's a very common format that I'm sure I stole from somebody.